Today's episode of the Spring Hills podcast, we're going to be talking about parenting and teaching. Mostly teaching today because we did have a guest that unfortunately had to postpone. We've got the fires going on, so the babysitters for the kiddos isn't here. So Brittany, we promise we'll bring you on again sometime soon. But today we have Patricia back, and she's been on the podcast a few times. So Patricia Chadwick is here again. And then now we've also got a brand new guest. She's also part of the worship team, but happens to be a teacher as well. And this is Aubrey Nicole Deihm, although we just call her Nikki. So Nikki's also part of the worship team. You can say hi.
Hi.
The microphones are on, by the way.
Hello.
Yeah, you guys can talk. Before we get started too much, Patricia, we've already done a get to know you a little bit. A refresher, Patricia, again, she sings here on the worship team. She serves on a couple of teams, though. So Stephen Ministry and...
Right now,
the kids
Ministry.
team you used to serve on.
Mm-hmm.
And then Kelly is your husband. And so you are here at this church for a few years that we started around the same time here at Spring Hills. So Patricia, Chadwick, and then now Nikki. And I say Deihm. Is that how you say your last name? Just Deihm?
Yeah.
Okay,
no,
great.
That's correct.
Great.
Most of the time people don't get it right, but that's correct.
There's the H in there really throws me off sometimes. So I'm like, is it Deihm? I don't know. So
I've got
Deihm,
Deihm.
Yeah, sure.
Deihm.
Tell us a little bit about yourself. So you're a teacher. What grade do you teach?
I teach first and second this year. Usually just second, but I'm doing a combo class.
Okay.
Yes.
All on Zoom?
Yes.
Great.
It's been
I'll
fun.
get to how that's going in just a minute. But are you from this area?
No, I'm from the East Bay, born in Redding, but grew up in Concord, California, and moved to Bakersfield, and then moved here about 5 years ago.
Cool. And you've got a couple of kids, right?
I have two, a 10-year-old, Riley McKenna, she's my daughter, and my son, Landon Deihm, who is 13 in 8th grade this year.
Great. And they're probably also having a fun experience with teaching or learning in 2020, distance learning.
They are surviving. But not enjoying.
This is probably the greatest version of a reality show of like Survivor is kids and parents trying to learn how to adjust to all this.
Absolutely.
It's just absolutely crazy. But so we brought Patricia and Nikki in today because we want to encourage our teachers. And both Nikki and Patricia have continued to serve here at the church, and we talked to them about how things are going. We were with them a lot during the summer with some recordings, and when we started doing our services again. And sometimes you could just tell, hey, was it a rough week? You know, I'm sure you guys are familiar with that. So what we want to do is we want to encourage teachers, and I brought these two in. So as teachers, let's just start off with what are some of the new challenges that you've seen this school year? Or in 2020, because I guess you kind of started this before this school year.
Yeah, last spring.
Yep, in March.
So I also...
Been a blur.
We just, before we even started this, one of you, I forget who already, who's teaching on campus? You're in your classroom, right?
I'm in my classroom, but still teaching virtually.
Okay, so and then Nikki.
I'm doing the same.
Oh, okay. I thought you said your campus was shut down.
Only right now because of the fires.
Oh, yeah.
An extra wrinkle thrown
2020.
in.
Forgot.
That's right.
It's 2020. So tell me some of the new challenges that you've seen this year. Let's just say this year. What's been the most challenging thing?
Go for it.
Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
you can just jump
after.
in.
Hard to narrow it down. I think the most challenging for me, well, I'm trying to think in order what's the most challenging. Well, definitely the fact that we ended school in March and now we're still not in school no, it's not September, it's October. Before, just thought it was going to be a couple weeks.
It's October right now. Oh my gosh, it's October.
Today's the first day of October.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So we've been doing this forever.
No,
and
I get it.
I'm sure most of us thought it was going to be a few weeks, and it's turned into months that went through the summer and back into fall. And now there's the unknown of not knowing when we're going back to school, and having that missed time with our students and knowing that they are getting so far behind. Everyone's in the same position. So it's not like anyone's ahead of anybody else. I think having that pressure and going into, a new school year, knowing that our students already missed so much curriculum and just, everything from activities, sport, everything, their social interaction, already being behind in that, and then going into the new school year with them behind, and then only having an hour or two on Zoom where we're, trying to condense a whole school day into that amount of time. And
it's hard enough to keep the attention, because you teach first and second grade, right? Yeah. How long have you been teaching?
This is my 7th year.
7th year. So these little kids, I don't know. I can't pay attention to a Zoom meeting for very long. So I can't imagine a first grader trying to pay attention to a Zoom meeting for an hour. It just doesn't. So how do you try to keep their attention? Do you have tricks?
I'm exhausted because it's like a show. You have to be crazy animated and like super excited just to open up your book.
Yeah. We are going to open up a book.
Yes.
Yeah.
By the time I close my laptop,
exhausting.
I'm like, and, but I can tell they're that way too.
I know.
Like half of them are laying on the couch and they just don't want to be there. They want to be in the classroom or they want to be
if they're
see
at home,
their friends.
Yes.
If they're at home, they want to be in bed or they want to be
playing video games.
Not on a Zoom meeting.
Yeah. And there's when you're at home, it's hard to learn. Now, I was homeschooled from 1st through 4th grade. And it was, for me, I was a social kid. So like I begged my parents to get me into public school. But I remember the feeling of just being like, if I was allowed to do my homework anywhere besides just like at my desk that my mom had set up for me, there's no way I was getting anything done. There's too many distractions. It's every little thing that happens. I'm like, I'm hungry. I'm going to get up and do this. So it's like the routine. I had to have the routine. Otherwise I wasn't getting my schoolwork done. And I'm sure it's the same with these kids right now. Like they're used to being in school. And now all of a sudden it's like you've got to act like school's in your living room or in your bedroom or whatever it is. And it would just be so hard. I can't imagine.
Yeah.
Kids like thrive on structure and schedules.
Yeah.
So that's completely gone now. That's a struggle for both parents and teachers
and the kids.
And the kids, yeah. So
Let's
Patricia,
say it
how
in
long?
Unison. No.
Patricia, how long have you been teaching?
This is my start of year 15.
15. Oh, this was so. One of the
know.
funnier things about this was when Sean started playing the guitar in the band, and you found out how old Sean was. You were
It's
like,
true.
"Oh my goodness, you're the age of
It's
my first
true.
class."
My very first class ever, first graders. Are Sean's age.
Yep.
So he could have been
Sean.
He could have been my first grader.
Yeah. So Sean was, I think he was 17 when he started playing with us in the band. But so what grade do you teach now?
Fourth grade.
4th grade. Okay.
And I'm very grateful, actually. I used to teach 1st and 2nd grade for many years, 10 years. So I'm like, oh, Lord, thank you. I'm in 4th grade right now. I mean, extra love and appreciation to the teachers in primary right now because 4th grade, the kids are a little more capable, a little more independent. They're still little.
They understand what school is, at least. Sometimes the first graders, it's
true.
like, they're in year 2 of being in school, right? And even kindergarten, it's not really like, it's not the, 8 a.m. to 3 p.m. school hours or whatever, that we got used to as a kid. So
Exactly.
Patricia, what's something that you've seen as one of the bigger challenges of 2020?
Oh, I think, one of the things that has just come back over and over and over again is the fact that there is no clear end in sight right now.
That makes it rough.
Kind of similar to what Nikki was saying, I think. And I guess what I would kind of add to that is that is affecting my coworkers, the kids, the parents, myself, in many different ways. So what I find myself, maybe it's because like my personality, the way I am is, I want to listen to people. I want to, validate and help them feel better as they navigate. But at the same time, it's like we have to go forward. We can't, we can't stay here and complain or, even if I want to cry it out, it's momentary because at the end of the day, I can at least go back to the Lord and say, oh, Lord, that was really rough. Or why isn't this ending already? But at the same time, okay, I feel you. You're with me. You're getting me through it. Now, what about all the people over here that are freaking out? Lord, I'm going to pray over them because otherwise, they're going to drive me crazy.
Yeah.
And we've seen it too, because there's the amount of times that I think it was you, Nikki. You were texting between services one Sunday when you were singing, and I saw it was a really long text, and you said something just like, "Yep, just have to get back to some," or maybe it was an email or something. Just got to get back to some of these emails,
right?
Yeah.
And it's just like,
and they do come over the weekend. They do come at dinner time. They do come in the evening.
It's like a 24-hour job right now.
And so it's like protecting yourself from all of that craziness so that you don't
establishing boundaries.
Yes.
Yeah.
And so that you really just, especially as a believer, so that you can actually hopefully share Christ with people by your response and by the way that you set your boundaries and by the way that you interact with them. So, yeah.
So one thing that would be really easy for us to do is to make this into a venting episode, right? Where we just talk about all the things that we're frustrated by. And I know with ministry being at the church, like there's things that we can get frustrated by. We're like, okay, I like John today. I remember, I hope he doesn't get mad for me calling him out on this, but he walks in and he said, it's just so hard to preach to a camera.
Right.
And I'm like, I can't, like, I'm not preaching to a camera, but like we've led worship to with cameras there and no people in the room. It is hard. It's not, and it's part of it now. We've gotten used to it and everything, but like, it's just not how church is meant to be, right? And it's the similar thing with this schooling. It's like, this is just not how it's supposed to be, right? These kids are going to get, like you said, they're going to get behind. So what I want to do is make sure that we make this more encouraging and positive, right? So what are some things that you've seen this year that might have been more positive, and what's God been teaching you through maybe some of the challenges that you faced? And you can, jump in whenever you want.
Like in general or just in education?
Well, you can say from a parent's point of view too, because you have a 10-year-old and a 13-year-old.
Yes.
But towards whether it's a teacher or a parent or even a kid, just being encouraging.
Definitely all the time together has created a lot more time with family, which has been nice. I know that I have been guilty for years of being crazy busy, working as a teacher, being a mom, running from one activity to the next with my kids. That's always been a challenge, and that's always kind of gotten in the way of my relationship with God, because I know that he's not always been number one, and that's what he's supposed to be all the time. And definitely during this time, it was like a big wake-up call, like, hello, now do you remember who's number one? And it's like, yes, I do. Thank you for the big reminder, because trying to be at home for months with kids and not very many places to go to even get a breather and do something like to change the scenery has been rough. But the silver lining and the good thing about it is having that family time. And I mean, family dinners, more walks with the dogs, has been awesome.
Dogs are happy right now.
Dogs are super happy.
Yeah, fun fact, Nikki's dog's name is the same as my son's name.
Maverick and Wyatt.
That gets Maverick is my son's name, not Wyatt. Sorry, I interrupted you.
No, that's
as
okay.
Andrea would point out, I do often.
That's fine. As a teacher, something that actually has been huge for me is building relationships with parents.
Sure.
I have not had that too much in the past. I mean, very minimal contact.
It probably hasn't been needed as much in the past.
No. And now it's like
and you're a parent, so you understand the frustrations that they're feeling as well.
Yes.
Have you seen? Has there been a lot of good examples of like you extending grace to parents, and that changes like the way that they're approaching you? Like if I know sometimes like if somebody comes to me complaining about something, and if my reaction is defensive, it's just gonna explode the situation, right? But if my reaction is, I understand exactly where you're coming from, that's so frustrating, then they kind of like let their guard down, and it's like, oh, okay, you're not against me. And I think that's got to be huge for you guys, right? For the parents to know, like, parents are not trying to hurt the teachers. Teachers are not trying to hurt the parents. It's just a circumstance, and we're all in this together. I guess there's kind of that community feel, right?
No, we're totally all in this together. And I've always, from the beginning with my parents, I have said, I understand completely how you feel, what you're going through. I'm a parent myself. I am constantly reminding them that, because I get it 100%. And I mean, sometimes I felt like I've come across to my own kids' teachers of being kind of maybe pushy or maybe not the nicest. And then I've had to send that email right away. I'm so sorry. Like I that came across the wrong way. I completely understand. I'm a teacher and a parent. And then immediately, it's funny how people can just switch. Like all of a sudden, the language between the two just changes. It's like, oh, okay, I understand too. Or
I totally. I had and I don't think he'll mind. I would guess I won't mention him by name, but I had somewhat of a conflict with a friend of mine recently, and we just disagreed on something. And this was totally. I apologized to him because it was like, it struck a nerve with me, and I was kind of already at my end with this
Right.
particular topic, and I kind of exploded at him via text message. And then I don't know if it was like a week later, 2 weeks later, I text him and I just said, man, I'm sorry. Regardless of like how I feel, my opinion on this situation, there's no excuse for me responding to you in that way.
Right.
I wasn't cussing at him or anything, but like I definitely was not being a friendly person with it. And we met together, we chatted for, I think we were together for like a couple of hours, and we just talked and like really just worked it out to where it's just like, look, we're all frustrated right now, and like just understanding that he knew the struggles that I'm frustrated with, and I understood what he's frustrated with, and it's just kind of like once you're on that same level with each other, it really is helpful. Patricia, you not being a parent, have you experienced? Has it been tougher, do you think, to relate to parents the way that Nikki's talking about?
I think
you also have this gift of really like connecting with people, though. It's part of the reason why you're.
I was going to say I'm not a mama, but I feel like God has given me
you already act
so
like a mama.
well, and so many amazing mama friends and in my life, right, that I've watched raise their kiddos, or they're in the thick of it right now, and it kind of helps me kind of keep the pulse of what it is like to some extent. I'm not in it, but I'm hearing it, I'm seeing it.
And you're a compassionate person, though.
Right, and I think God is just, he's kind of fashioned my heart to
That's why you're
really
in
listen
ministry.
to people. It's true. So if anything, I think I have a lot of people, specifically women in my life who have kids, who have kind of guided me to navigate and love on the parents of my students a little better, and hopefully with a lot of grace. And you both are so right. The moment I extend that grace to them, their response
walls break
shifts
down
immediately. That combative text turns into for me, it's maestra, because my school is a dual immersion school. So they're like, maestra, we're so sorry. I didn't at all mean it like that. You're right. The tone changes immediately, or they'll send that little smiley emoji in there so they know, I actually do appreciate you. Yeah. Little things like that. I think for me, though, something silver lining or just a blessing that's come out of a lot of craziness right now is just my prayer life is probably a lot stronger than it has been in a long time. And that would just be literally, there's just so many times where I'm, broken in front of that screen going, I don't know how to do this. Or why isn't this loading the way it's supposed to? Or why can't this kid get into Zoom when I'm saying accept for the 15th time? And so many moments throughout my day where I'm just like, Lord, please sustain me right now. I don't know. I'm going to get through this next half hour. Or back to school night was done in Zoom, and that was a little trippy.
You had told me that.
I was like super nervous about it, and then I had to record myself so I could share it with the parents who didn't come. So I was like really, but things like that where I'm just like, you know what? Stop relying on yourself already and turn to God, because he is your provider, your sustainer, your redeemer. So I find myself going back to, these are the character qualities of God and who he is. Thank God for those things, because I am not those things. Yet I have glimpses of it because God is so great, and he's showing me, look, you got through this thing. It was really hard, but I sustained you. Or look, you got through this really difficult interaction with a parent. He is.
I cannot tell you how many times I've got out of my car to walk into my classroom and like, God, there's no way I'm going to be able to do this.
Right.
You got me. That's it.
And that's all you need to know.
Yeah.
It's like the only sad thing for me is like, I wish some other of my peers, my coworkers would I'm like, you just need Jesus. This would be not easy, but it would be easier to have hope in Christ.
Have you seen how you've been able to use this as a ministry at all? Both of you?
Yes.
Absolutely.
And everything you just
said. Next question.
Yes.
Okay, great.
Yes. Well, and I'll just add to that, like with the kids, with the parents, and with our coworkers, I feel like it's threefold. Like, so it's always been where I think we could probably say in our profession, it's our ministry, or it's a definite ministry opportunity. That's just like times 1,000 now. So many more opportunities for God to use us. So that's kind of like, okay.
And
Lord,
if somebody sees like, man, Patricia,
this.
you are doing so well with handling this. What's your secret?
Right.
You're like, let me tell you about let me tell you about this guy. His name's God.
Absolutely. His son, his name's Jesus.
And he died for you. Come to church this weekend.
Exactly.
There's people there.
Or watch from home.
Or watch from home, yeah. So perspective is important. I found myself having to shift my perspective a few times this year. I love just good analogies about perspective. And my favorite story is there's a kid in the backyard and he's got a baseball and a baseball bat and he throws the ball up in the air. He says, I'm the greatest hitter in the world. And he swings the bat and he misses. And then he does it again. I'm the greatest hitter in the world, swings the bat and misses. And he does it again, throws the ball up in the air. I'm the greatest hitter in the world, swings the bat and he misses. And then he says, I'm the greatest pitcher in the world. And so he changed his perspective. And this is always my favorite story because it's like I remember being the kid in the backyard throwing the ball up in the air, right? But I know there's many teachers and parents that are frustrated with the current schooling situation. So as parents and teachers, have you found encouragement in shifting your perspective at all?
Yes, for sure.
Next question, right?
Yeah.
I love Nikki's just like, yes.
Yes.
Next.
No.
Yes.
Next.
Okay, I'll add to that. How? Explain.
Okay. Well, for me personally, I am one that loves structure and kind of being in control of things. And this is really funny because, like, since everything started in March, like,
well, basically, since everything
had
started in 2017 with the fires,
right.
it seems like it's just been
ongoing.
like, well, here
Like,
in Sonoma County,
I'm
whatever.
not in charge or in control of any. I mean, never was. God's always in control.
Right.
But my gosh, like constantly being thrown reminders, especially in the classroom for myself. I'm kind of like my papers hung a certain way and like my grade book a certain way, and that also completely went out the window. So in the beginning, I will admit it kind of was an angry Nikki and a frustrated Nikki, and how am I supposed to teach and how am I supposed to be effective in reaching out to my kids and to my students.
Like, how am I supposed to do my job?
Yeah. And then my perspective had to switch because it kept going on forever. Right? It wasn't like this was over in a few weeks.
Nope.
Exactly.
And we still don't
like
know.
Like we originally thought.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know if we ever really thought it was going to be over
We
in a few
hoped.
weeks, but
Yeah,
there
we
was
were
hope there.
hoping.
Or I told someone today, I was like, because I think we were, you know what, we were in here, the programming team was in here, we're talking about the end of October and the weekends and what we're going to be doing for the weekends. And Christmas got mentioned.
Oh, no.
And my heart sank because I'm just like, oh, what are we going to do?
Right.
Like,
Yeah.
and to think like, had you have told me in March when we first had to cancel that first Sunday, like we met Saturday night, socially distanced, and then when there was the first Sonoma County case of COVID, and so we canceled that Sunday at like 6 a.m. And if you would have told me then, hey, it's going to be October, and you're still not going to be having services
none of us would have
consistently.
believed it, right?
Right.
Okay.
You're not going to have services consistently inside. And I would have I don't even know how I would have reacted. Like, I didn't react well as it was. None of us, like, Brett hates canceling,
Yeah.
right? And so the fact that, now obviously we didn't cancel, we just went to online.
Right.
But we canceled that Sunday and just showed the Saturday night service that we had done, right? And I remember just thinking, like, I don't want to do this for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it's like, I don't want to do this for 3 months. And then we got to be outside and I'm like, hey, at least we're meeting outside, but maybe just a couple months of it. And now here we are. I mean, June, July, August, September, we're in month 5 of outside services. And I'm just like, oh, can we get back inside?
I
Come
know.
on. Now it's all,
know.
like this weekend, I think we're going to end up being inside because the air quality is so bad. But just thinking the idea that we thought this would be over in a few weeks, now we just look back and go, yeah. Go ahead and think that, like, we could travel back in time and talk to us in March and just be like, oh, just wait. It's crazy. I'm laughing right now because I'm just like, it's unbelievable that it's October 1st.
Is.
I
I didn't realize that it was October until
Yeah.
just now, and I'm like, oh my goodness, October already. So, so I kind of interrupted you, Nikki, but
That's okay.
changing your perspective.
No, my perspective has changed definitely by letting the little things go. I could care less about how
sweat
my
the small
papers are hanging in my classroom or what my grade book looks like. Or, even down to the things with my students that, used to drive me a little bit crazy. Like I would love to have that student that is bouncing off the walls like back in my class, because I just want to be back in my classroom.
Right.
And I think literally just letting the little things go. And how much do you appreciate the little things, right? Like
the little things, the things now that I appreciate so often is like the fact that we get to meet outside is from the very beginning, I was saying like, man, this is amazing, because there's churches that haven't met since March.
Yeah.
And like, there's a church tonight meeting out here, and they haven't met in their building or on their campus since March. And they use our campus. We've offered this to other churches, like to come use our campus for free. Like, hey, we've got this set up. You're welcome to use it, when we're not using it, obviously.
Right.
But they're here on Thursdays, not every Thursday, but I think it's every 2 or 3 Thursdays. They come down and they have their church out here, and they're able to have a service. And I just go, man, I sometimes I'm like, why am I complaining about, oh, we have to meet outside? No, at least we get to meet.
Right.
At least God's given us this property to be able to do this.
Well, and here's the thing, like, did you even really think about how awesome it was to even come to church on a Sunday? It's just like something we did until it wasn't there anymore.
When we finally were back inside, it was the fire, after the lightning. I forget what that fire's called. all those fires.
The wall bridge.
The wall bridge fire. We had come back inside on that Saturday, and we, like, I remember Andrea and I standing on the stage before the Saturday service is starting, and like we're standing up there with 2 minutes left, where we just kind of looked at each other and both just smiling. And we're just like, we really took this for granted, man. Like being able to have people, and you could tell there was kind of a buzz in the room of just people being excited to be inside. It's different. Yeah. The energy's different. It's fun. I think it was a glimpse of like normalcy, because even being outside, it's like, we're very lucky we get to do that, but it's not what we're used. It's not the normal Saturday, Sunday weekend that we're used to, right?
Right.
We're setting up speakers and just all that stuff. But what about you, Patricia? Perspective.
Oh, I think for me, very similar to Nikki. Probably, I'm like, ditto.
Don't sweat the small stuff.
Yeah, or just the perspective around what really matters, building connection with my students, that really matters right now, right? There's curriculum, there are standards, and there's lessons and all these things, and I plan them with my team and we implement them. But at the end of the day, God has given me these students this year for a reason, and I want them to know I'm here for them. And some of them don't have the best home situations, Some of them, it's just, with that part, still breaks my heart. I can't get used to that.
I know.
Some of them don't have their safe place, which is school, right? But even in that, God put them in my class, so that there's the perspective, I think, shift has been, I've always known that, but I don't think I ever fully grasped how much of a blessing it is that these kids were handpicked by God to be my students right now, So that, and then you just appreciate all the little things. You're so right. Something as simple as those pickup or drop off distribution days that takes time out of my personal life, you could argue, because we try to craft it to be late in the afternoon, early evening, because the parents who work can't come during the day, right? So we do it from 4:30 to 6:30, in the afternoon, early evening. It dips into my personal time, but it is
what's personal time anymore?
Well, not to mention, I'm like, don't get me started on my contract hours. I'm like, did I ever work my contract hours? No
teacher does.
But I mean, I get to see their little faces as they drive up in their
and they're
cars.
Probably so excited,
and like
excited.
I like get home and my heart is like ready to explode with joy. That little thing a year ago would have been like
draining.
Oh man, that's a long day. I don't know. Why would we be doing this? And now I'm like, blessing, let's do one of those every month, because then I can at least connect with you and see you, and yay.
We did that we did the Adventure Week online, and we did the drive-through thing at the end of the week, and the kids, because normally I do the skits is my role there, right? I'm one of the actors that does the skits, right? So me and Geraldine, we were the main two in the skits. John Barrett played a small role, and then Sean Minardi was Johnny Science, right? And so when they got here, it was like they were seeing TV characters, right? And normally they see us all week. We're on campus, and they come and throw water balloons. I literally for 4 hours just drive around campus on our golf cart and throw water balloons at kids.
Yep.
Tough job, right? But when they got here, the amount of like joy that the kids, the little smile on their faces, and some of them are really nervous to see you.
Oh, yeah.
We had the little pins that you could sign a window of the car and stuff like that. And like the joy is just kind of like, but if I thought about that before, I'm like, standing out in the sun for 2 hours in this hot costume, and I got to stand out here so kids can just wave at me. And then I look at that and I go, no, totally worth it. We could do this every week if you guys want, because I see the reward of it. Like, this is valuable. And
like when
really,
we had our ice cream thing.
The ice cream, the team night.
That was super
That was the
fun.
first time I had seen you in months. And
Right.
you just like, I don't think it took you more than 3 seconds to like tear down your eyes.
I know.
And it's just like, can I hug you? No,
Yeah,
no, you're not allowed to.
I know. I was ready to like jump out of the car.
I know.
That was a happy night.
Yes, it was. I was riding around on my skateboard, and I was just like, I could feel the energy. I was just like, people.
I know.
So fun.
Oh, I know.
Well, I want to end this by just naming a few things. It could be one sentence, a couple words. 2 or 3 things to encourage the teachers. 2 or 3 things to encourage parents of young kids. 2 or 3 things to encourage parents of teens. So we originally, Brittany Ackstrom was going to be on here too, and Brittany has young kids, and so I was going to split this up between you and have, I was going to have Nikki, you do the one parent, encourage parents of teens since you have a teenager, Patricia to have you encourage teachers, and then Brittany to encourage parents of young kids. But let's just see if we can come up with a few that we can give some people. So let's start with this. A couple things. You guys are the teachers here, not me. So what are a couple things that we can say to encourage the teachers right now?
You're not alone. Yeah. There's community with each other, and even if it feels a little lonely or that you're alone, that you're not. This girl and I have like little texts that we'll send each other throughout the week or weeks, and I would say find your person, your co-teacher friend or group. Send each other silly group texts. Ask each other, how can I pray for you? Just love on each other. Be each other's advocates,
That was a really good answer.
Well, there's one thing. Do you have another? So to sum up.
I don't know. That was pretty spot on. All I can add to that is, those funny like stories that we see on Facebook about like the impressions of all 3 parents, students, and teachers. There's a reason for that because we aren't alone. Like everyone, we can relate. That's why we're laughing hysterically when we watch.
It's so true.
Yes. No. That we're all in this together.
Yes.
But thank God for God.
Thank God for God.
Thank God for God and Jesus. And there is no way that I know I could do this without him. And it does make me more eager to really pray for those that don't.
Amen.
That don't have him, because this is not just for teachers and parents. I mean, this is just hard in general for everyone.
It's taxing.
So
we all need Jesus.
Yes.
Let's move then to encouraging parents of young kids. Now, I've got young kids. My kids are homeschooled, though. So now one of them is too young to really even be part of the homeschool, but I do have a 5-year-old. And we're not experiencing the frustration of distance learning because my wife is teaching them at home already. So I haven't experienced the frustration that parents have, but I can only imagine if you threw my 5-year-old off his routine and all of a sudden we're like, hey, you're going to do things totally different and not the same that you're used to, or you don't get to go to school and see your friends. He's used to coming to church and stuff, so he's still social because he still gets to see friends at church, and the homeschool group will meet together and that kind of thing. But the parents of these young kids, these parents they got to work full time still, but now they have to work from home, which is already tough in itself. Just your work environment being at home, and then you've got a 5-year-old, a 6-year-old, a 7-year-old, 8-year-old having to do their schooling on a computer. And I've seen this firsthand just being at the church here, because a lot of the staff have kids that are going through social or distance learning, right? So there's 6, 7, 8-year-olds, and it's frustrating for those parents. And I can see it where they're just like, I don't know how to do my work and help my kids. So how can we be encouraging the parents of the younger kids?
I think, well, I'm just coming off of back to school night, like I said. So I think for me, something I tried to get across to the parents is don't feel the need or the pressure to be the teacher.
Yes.
Like, it's okay. I'm the teacher. Mm-hmm. I'm not saying I'm perfect and I've got it all figured out, but that's my job. Mm-hmm. And helping. So maybe that's just something that over time parents take to heart. I feel like if I could say it to every single parent of a school-age child, is just, you're not the teacher. That's okay. Yeah. Cry out to your teacher, ask them for help, have your child ask for help, do anything you need to, but that don't make that your job
don't put
as
so
the
much pressure on
parent.
yourself.
Right.
Absolutely.
Release some of that back, because we're not asking you to be the teacher, you know?
Yeah. I would say, just with my own experience with my son, my 5-year-old, just extending grace. Like, that's been the biggest thing, is just like not extend grace just to your kids, but to yourself.
Yes.
Don't put so much pressure on yourself. Extend yourself some grace, because you're not going to do this perfect. And like we've said numerous times, you're also not, you don't have to do it alone. Like, God can hold you through this. Is it going to be, does that make it easy? No. But God will hold you through it. And the fact that you get to be there, I mean, I know that one of the reasons we've decided to homeschool is because of the time that my wife gets to spend with the kids, and I get to see the kids a lot too. We're very fortunate about how much time we get to spend as a family, and the fact that we get to have God be the center of it. We get to we pray with our kids. We we listen to Bible stories. We read Bible stories. We watch this show called Friends and Heroes, and it's about the friends of Jesus, and it's like we get to do that stuff with our kids.
Oh, yes, really cute.
Yeah, it's awesome. So, but extending yourself grace is one of the things that I know. It's just it's a must. You got to extend yourself grace, extend grace to your kids,
right?
And know you're not alone in it, like I said, but also because God is with you.
I just kind of wanted to add, as a parent and a teacher, it's kind of interesting for me because I see both sides. And my daughter, who is 10, and my son, who is 13, I never thought in a million years I would say this, but I'm somewhat thankful for video games, because my son has been able to help.
He was in a video game small group.
He's been able to help significantly with online learning. I mean, he's literally come to my school and helped some of the teachers.
Because he's tech savvy.
Because he's super tech savvy, which I know has been a huge frustration for teachers too. I mean, I can't tell you how many times I've cried. Like, I don't know how to hook up monitors and like how to move. Anyway,
I really should offer my help with teachers more. I'm being serious. Like, that's something I never really even thought of that teachers might need. Like, if you're a teacher, by the way, at Spring Hills, and you need some tech help, I know that I would love to help you. You can call me, and I will help you. And I know Israel would do the same thing. Like,
oh my gosh, IT.
Yeah, seriously,
like built in.
And I'm not great at that stuff, but I understand it enough to be able to troubleshoot things. So if you really are something, if it's frustrated, I mean, I told you this, Nikki. Like, if there's something that your teachers at your school are really frustrated with, and you've only got one IT guy working for 40 teachers or whatever it is, I'll come and help you plug your computer in. Some of that stuff, it's just as easy as like, oh yeah, you just got to switch this around.
Right. You're not making us feel better, Garett.
By offering help?
By saying it's easy, by just plugging in a cord.
Okay.
He's like,
you know what I mean.
Wait a minute.
I just mean, like, some things there, it makes sense to me. Like the way that it's like, well, did you check which output you're using?
Right.
You know, just things like that, where it's like, if you don't know to check that stuff, then it's not easy.
Exactly. No. Like for Landon, it makes sense. Yeah. Like, he knows, well, check this, Mom, do that, right?
Yeah.
Yes, for sure.
Sometimes with the band, they'll show up and they'll start, they'll plug some stuff in, and they'll be like, my guitar's not working. I'm like, well, did you actually plug it in? And I know David doesn't listen to the podcast, but I will definitely call David out and just say it's become a David thing, where it's just kind of like, hey, my inners aren't working. I'm like, well, did you put batteries in them? No, I didn't. Or Garett, the amp's not working. Well, did you turn it on? Like, I'm not joking either. This is not exaggeration. Like,
no,
sometimes,
these are real scenarios.
And I have a lot of grace for that, because I'm like, yeah, a lot of times they've been working all day. They get here and they're fried. Yeah. So it's like, you know what? I'll plug it in for you. You're fine. Let's end with encouraging some encouraging things for parents of teens. So, Nikki, you are the lone parent of a teenager, which a new teenager.
Turned 13. It's been fun, because let me tell you, between hormones and COVID-19,
Poor kid.
My goodness.
Yeah, it's been rough.
I really like your son too. Riley, not so much. I'm just kidding.
I know.
I pick on Riley. That's a little bit of an inside joke.
But she can dish it back.
Yes.
She
That's
can.
what makes it so good.
She can. If
Nikki-
she was sitting right here, she'd have all sorts of things to say.
Yeah, Nikki, when she's on the worship team, she'll come and she'll sometimes have her kids with her, and they'll hang out with us in the green room. And I pick on poor little Riley, and she 100% can take it.
Oh, yeah.
I think there was one day I just threw goldfish at her for
Yes.
15 minutes, and she didn't even blink.
Nope.
She didn't care. I'm a child at heart, apparently.
She's
yeah,
used
so
to her brother.
she's used to her
8-year-old
brother. But yeah, so tell us something that can be encouraging to parents of teenagers.
Lots of prayer. There have been many heart-to-hearts with my son during this. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. It hasn't been easy by any means. Socially, he's not around any of his buddies.
Yeah.
He's not doing, he's used to year-round sports. He's not doing that. He's not doing any of his after-school activities. Leadership was
Doesn't
huge.
get to go to any of the baseball games, probably.
So they just started practicing, but it's like so limited. They have to be like not close to each other, and he hasn't been. That just started, so he hasn't been able to do baseball since. Normally, a season would start in February.
Okay. I was actually meaning like the Giants game.
Right.
Because they're not allowing people to
I
Giants
know.
games,
We've all
right?
missed that. It's true.
No Giants games. No Giants games.
I say that I'll cut this out if you want me to, but Nikki has a relative who coaches for the Giants, so her son has been able to be at a lot of Giants games in the past. So that was the point of that that statement. And if you want me to cut that out, cut it out. But
I don't care.
She doesn't care. Okay, I'll leave it in. Great.
Okay, now I don't know what I was talking about. Oh, just all the challenges that he's had. And there's been a lot of nights of tears, and I hate school. I hate this. And just a lot of angry nights and frustrations, and it hasn't just been him. It's been my daughter too, but more so with him. I think boys in general, like, really need their time together with other guys doing their sports and stuff, So, the good news is that he has really been craving time with God.
Good.
He was so excited when John finally started.
Motion nights and small groups and stuff. Yeah,
he was super. Mom, I want to, he wanted to get here early, and Mom, I want to do Bible study. And actually, he's been a big encouragement to me, because he's like, Mom, can we do, morning devotions? Can we do things like that? So that has been amazing.
I'll plug something right now that just as a family, you had said something, I think the other night, you had said you guys were going to watch a TV show or something. Watch The Chosen. If you haven't seen it. And that's the one that you've been watching the last few weeks, right? I've been talking about it.
Okay,
I've already watched it. It's phenomenal. And I'll plug that all day. It's a crowd-funded TV show, which is really cool. So like they're almost done funding season 2.
Right.
And the first season takes place where when Jesus is gathering the disciples. And so there's a lot of the interaction between Jesus and Nicodemus. And there's a couple of scenes where if you don't cry during it, I'm not sure you get it. Because it tugs at your heart, man. It's so good. And they did a great job with it. Now, the thing that I say about this is there's a lot of times where it's like, and I'll use a basketball reference where there's this basketball player, his name's Dirk Nowitzki. And a lot of people would say, like, Dirk Nowitzki's a great shooter for a big man. And I'm like, no, he's a great shooter. It's not just because he's a great shooter for a big man. He's a great shooter. It doesn't matter. You can put him in the gym with all the other great shooters. He's one of the great shooters.
Right.
This is legitimately a great TV show, not just a great faith-based
right?
TV show, because a lot of them are really bad. Like, they're not bad in content, but bad in like their quality.
Just
like
well done,
the budgets are low. They're rushed. Their writing isn't that great. The acting's not good. The direction's not that great. The editing, it's all that stuff. This is phenomenally well made. And if you want to watch a show as a family,
I'm just smiling because you're like your movie critic.
Yeah, I know.
Side is coming out. Yeah.
I know. Watch it though, and I think you guys would really like it.
I was gonna say even the trailer got me hooked.
Trailer, even with the trailer, it's great. Like, I've shared it a few times, and if you listen to this, find me on Facebook and go look at the trailer for The Chosen, because I've shared it a few times. It's phenomenal.
On Netflix?
It's on YouTube. But I'm gonna buy the DVD, because that's how they're funding season 2 is they're selling season 1 DVDs. And so I'm going to buy the DVD just to try to support it.
Awesome.
And it's amazing. It's so good. So that's a good TV show for you guys to watch.
Okay.
And I think Landon will like it too. He'll be into it. It's good. It's so good. All right. Well, anything else you guys want to say to encourage anybody? It doesn't have to be teachers, parents, or students, but just encouraging each other as a church family, whatever.
Just that
you're not in it alone.
Again,
that's where you're going to go, right?
Yeah, I feel like we've said it a million times tonight, but I think it's important to kind of encourage people that I think a lot of the time we feel like we're alone, or how we're feeling is, okay, surely other people aren't feeling this way. And that's
we tell ourselves.
Yeah, that's a lie. That's a lie from the enemy.
Yeah.
It is. Right.
So
combat it with truth.
Yes. And I'm finding the more that you share with, brothers and sisters in Christ, your family, friends, it's like, oh yeah, I feel that way too.
I know.
And then there's like just this huge weight lifted off your shoulders, knowing that you're not by yourself dealing with all these emotions. And there's no right answer for how to go about what we're doing right now. No one's ever done this before. Mm-hmm. No one's ever taught this way. No one's ever parented this way. No one's ever worked this way.
Mm-hmm.
And no one before you perfected parenting. Like, it's not like no one's going to be the perfect. I mean, I'm close, but no, I'm just kidding.
No.
But yeah, I get what you're saying there. It's exactly right. Like, no one's done this before.
Right.
Nobody has done this before.
No.
I mean, we're talking 7 months of insanity. And even 3 years of insanity for Santa Rosa.
Yeah. For
just
sure, in this whole county.
For the county, Napa County. I mean, everybody's dealing with it. Which, by the way, I do like to remind everybody. This is what night is it? It's Thursday night. It's October 1st that we're recording this. Now, this will air later. I'll put this up on Monday, the 5th, October 5th, I think it is. And I don't know where things are going to be at after this weekend, but we're praying for everybody. I know there's a lot of evacuations still.
Right.
I think there's more in Napa County than Sonoma County now, but I do know there's a lot of people evacuated. We're praying for you guys. I know some homes have been lost during this, not as many as past fires, but that doesn't mean that your home didn't matter. I mean, we're here for you. So if there's anything that you need, be sure to reach out to the church. Let us know what you need what we can be praying for you for. Let us know if you need just to talk to somebody. There's people here that would love to chat with you, help you in any way that we can. So we're here for you. And we will have services. This is, again, this will air on Monday, but we'll have services this next weekend as well. As long as the air quality is good, we're still sticking outside. The only reason we're coming inside right now is either if it's pouring down rain.
Which would be awesome.
That would be great. Yeah.
Rain would be great right
Let's
now.
pray for that.
Lightning, which happened.
Oh, that's true.
Dinosaurs, if they come around,
Can't say it wouldn't.
You
be
never
not
know.
unrealistic right
Never
now.
know.
We had the killer hornets out there. I'm not joking, I had to kill 300, 400 wasps around the stage. That's not exaggerating either. I lifted up one of the curtain things, and it was just
Were they under there?
there was just a ball of them, and I just sprayed
Was there a nest thingy or a hive?
I don't know. I
mercy.
screamed. No, I didn't scream.
I
I'm
would.
tough.
You
I
totally
got rid of
screamed.
them all.
I would.
But there's just any number of things that can happen right now. It's 2020. But the plan is to be outside on the weekends as long as we
Okay.
can be. So that's still where we're at. But we will have services. We do not cancel services. Is one of my favorite things about Pastor Brett is if he can have a service,
He will.
service is going to happen.
Amen.
So Patricia, Nikki, thank you guys for coming down and doing this. And I will be praying for you guys as teachers as well. You know that. Pray for you all the time. Pray for the band all the time. And we will probably have you guys on here again at some point. Patricia, this is, I think, number 3 for you, right?
Yeah.
And Nikki, you did a good job. Are you excited?
It's my first time. This was
First
fun.
time. This is fun, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we'll bring you on again sometime.
Do it again.
Especially with the worship stuff. So, all right, everybody, have a wonderful week, and we'll catch you next time here on the Spring Hills Podcast.